Artur and Lara met during a freshman integration activity on the first day of college. Both were eager and full of expectations for this new phase of their lives. Artur was a charismatic young man with a passion for technology and an adventurous spirit. He came from a middle-class family whose parents, despite not having significant financial resources, always valued education and hard work. They had a traditional view and believed that success in life was closely linked to a good social standing and financial stability. Lara, on the other hand, was a brilliant and reserved young woman. The only daughter of a renowned businessman, she grew up surrounded by luxury and opportunities. However, the experience of being seen only as the rich heiress made her distrustful of people's intentions around her. In her interactions, she often noticed that others were more interested in her status than her personality. This led her to decide that in college, she would not reveal her true financial condition. She wanted to be known for who she was, not for what her family owned. During their first meeting in a lab class, Lara and Artur were paired together as lab partners. The connection between them was immediate. Lara, with her sharp intelligence and passion for literature, found in Artur an attentive and curious listener. Artur, in turn, admired Lara's depth of thought and sensitivity. They spent hours talking about everything from technology to philosophy, discovering a world of shared interests. Artur appreciated Lara's simplicity and authenticity, unaware of the true extent of her life outside of college. To him, Lara was an ordinary student who wore modest clothes and avoided showing off. Her behavior, always humble and considerate, made Artur and his friends see her as someone from a modest background. Lara deliberately maintained this image, avoiding any conversation about her family or financial background. As their relationship blossomed, Lara felt increasingly comfortable with Artur. She appreciated that he liked her for who she was, not for what she could offer in terms of status or wealth. At the same time, the pressure from Artur's parents began to emerge. They were aware of the financial difficulties the family faced and believed that Artur's success in life depended on a good choice of partner, preferably someone with economic stability. Artur's parents had a great respect for tradition and believed that marrying someone of status could ensure a safer and more comfortable life for their son. Bianca, a classmate of Artur's, seemed like the ideal candidate. She always presented herself elegantly and sophisticatedly, suggesting she had a luxurious lifestyle. Seduced by these appearances, Artur's parents began to pressure their son to distance himself from Lara and get closer to Bianca. Lara, noticing the growing tension and subtleties of Artur's parents regarding their relationship, began to wonder when the right time would be to reveal the truth about her family. She feared that the revelation could change Artur's perception of her and turn his genuine love into material interest. Lara faced a dilemma. Should she trust Artur completely and risk the purity of their relationship, or continue keeping her secret, knowing that one day it might be discovered in a less favorable way? This initial phase of Artur and Lara's relationship was filled with intense feelings, uncertainties, and moral dilemmas. While Lara struggled to protect her true identity, Artur was torn between the sincere love he felt for Lara and the family pressure pushing him towards Bianca. This complex dynamic set the stage for the dramatic events to come, where appearances and true intentions would finally be revealed. As time went on, Artur's parents began to intensify their attempts to convince their son to distance himself from Lara. They didn't hide their concern that Lara, in their eyes, didn't seem like an ideal partner for Artur. They believed she didn't have the same financial and social ambitions they deemed important for their son's future. Artur's family, living a modest financial situation, saw choosing a partner with economic stability as a way to ensure a more secure and comfortable future. Bianca, with her always elegant attitude and taste for designer clothes, was increasingly seen by Artur's parents as the perfect option. She presented herself confidently and sophisticatedly, often talking about international trips, expensive restaurants, and exclusive events. All of this made her appear to have a higher social status. Artur's parents, enchanted by this image, began inviting her to social events, lunches, and dinners, trying to integrate Bianca more deeply into Artur's life. Meanwhile, Artur found himself in an internal dilemma. He loved Lara for her kind personality and intelligence. They shared a true and deep connection. However, the constant pressure from his parents began to shake his confidence. They constantly reminded him of the opportunities that could open up if he got closer to Bianca: business opportunities, social connections, and perhaps a life of more comfort and fewer financial worries. Bianca didn't help the situation either. She was attentive and always showed interest in Artur, making subtle compliments and being available. Influenced by his parents' insistence and the image Bianca cultivated, Artur began to question his own ambitions. He wondered if he might be naive in rejecting the chance for a more promising future with Bianca. The situation reached its climax on a tense night when a family discussion erupted in the living room of Artur's house. His parents, always very concerned about their son's future, decided it was time to confront him directly about his relationship with Lara. Sitting on the dark leather sofa, with serious expressions and determined to persuade Artur, they began the discussion with a calm but firm tone. Artur's mother was the first to speak, her voice mixing disappointment and concern. She argued that although Lara was a good person, she couldn't see how the relationship could bring benefits to Artur's future. She highlighted that, in their view, Lara didn't possess the same social status and connections that Bianca seemed to have. She insisted that for Artur to achieve his professional and personal aspirations, he needed to be with someone who could open doors and provide opportunities. Bianca, with her supposed rich and influential background, seemed, in Artur's parents' eyes, the most logical and advantageous choice. Artur's father, usually more reserved, also joined the discussion, expressing his disappointment with Lara as a partner choice. He mentioned that in the competitive world they lived in, it was crucial for Artur to be surrounded by people who could offer support and resources to advance in his career. He believed that Lara, despite her personal qualities, offered no tangible advantages or useful connections for Artur's future. For them, choosing a partner should not be based solely on feelings but also on practical and strategic considerations. Artur, sitting across from his parents, felt cornered and confused. He loved Lara deeply, admired her kindness, intelligence, and integrity. However, the weight of his parents' expectations weighed heavily on him. They had always been a significant influence in his life, and he desperately wanted their approval. The pressure to make the right choice was immense, and he began to question whether his feelings for Lara were enough to ensure a prosperous future. The discussion intensified as Artur's parents became more emphatic. They insisted that Bianca, with her supposed high social status and sophisticated image, would be a partner who could positively contribute to Artur's future. They argued that Bianca could help him enter important social and professional circles that would be inaccessible with Lara. They made it clear that, for them, the relationship with Bianca was not just a matter of personal preference but a strategic decision to ensure Artur's success in life. Artur felt torn between the love he felt for Lara and the loyalty he had always had to his parents. He began to convince himself, perhaps influenced by his parents' words and the pressure of the circumstances, that breaking up with Lara might be the best decision for his future. He pondered what would be more important, following his heart or securing a safe and promising path in terms of career and social status. Finally, after a night of painful arguments and reflections, Artur made the most difficult decision of his life. He decided to end his relationship with Lara. Artur convinced himself that he was doing what was best for his future, believing his parents' words that it was a rational and necessary decision. He hoped that by following this path, he could avoid family conflicts and perhaps eventually find some form of contentment. However, this decision left Artur devastated. He knew he was hurting Lara, a person he loved and respected deeply. The breakup was marked by tears and sadness, and Artur felt an immediate and overwhelming emptiness. He tried to convince himself that he was acting for the greater good, but a part of him knew he was sacrificing emotionally. This choice, guided by logic and external pressure, brought with it a pain that Artur would have to carry as he and his family faced the consequences of their choices. Lara, upon receiving the news, was deeply hurt and disillusioned. She had always known the pressures Artur faced but never imagined he would succumb to them. The breakup was a devastating blow to her, not only because of the loss of the relationship but also because it confirmed her worst fears, that Artur's love was not strong enough to overcome social and familial barriers. Lara found herself lost, questioning everything she had believed about love and trust. Artur's decision to follow his parents' advice and pursue a relationship with Bianca not only hurt Lara but also planted a seed of doubt in his own heart. Although he initially tried to convince himself that he had made the right choice, the void left by Lara and the increasingly superficial interactions with Bianca began to weigh on his conscience. He couldn't escape the feeling that he had sacrificed something precious and genuine for a promise of security and status that might never materialize. Throughout the last year of college, Lara lived in a state of constant emotional torment. Every day, she saw Artur and Bianca together, putting on a facade of the perfect couple. For Lara, each casual encounter in the hallways or classes was a painful reminder of what she had lost. With every smile they shared, every casual touch or laugh, her heart ached a little more. Lara tried to stay strong and focused on her studies, but seeing Artur with Bianca was like a knife turning in her open wound. Lara's feelings for Artur didn't disappear, they just changed form. The love that was once full of hope and shared dreams was now tinged with sadness and resignation. She couldn't simply turn off her feelings for him, despite knowing that Artur had made his choice. It was a choice that, for her, meant he preferred to succumb to his parents' pressure and appearances rather than fight for them both. This hurt her deeply but also helped her see the reality more clearly. Lara often found herself reminiscing about the moments they had shared, the deep conversations, and the plans for the future they had made. Now, all of that seemed like a distant memory, a life that could have been but never would be. Instead of letting these thoughts consume her, she decided to accept the situation. Lara convinced herself that if Artur was willing to leave her to satisfy his family's expectations and follow a life he believed to be more advantageous, then perhaps he wasn't the man she thought she knew. This acceptance, however, didn't make things easier. The constant presence of Artur and Bianca was an incessant reminder of her own pain and loss. At college parties and events, Lara tried to avoid the couple, but in such a small community, this was almost impossible. Every time she saw them, she felt a mix of sadness and frustration. Bianca's appearance of happiness only reinforced the feeling that Lara had been replaced, as if her time with Artur had been a mere phase before he found something better. Lara also had to deal with others' reactions. Some friends and colleagues expressed sympathy, but others, curious or malicious, made comments about how Bianca seemed a more suitable choice for Artur, further fueling her insecurities. She felt surrounded by whispers and looks that made her feel like she was constantly being judged. Despite all this pain, Lara refused to show weakness. She threw herself into her studies and extracurricular activities, trying to fill the void left by Arthur with work and new interests. Lara knew she needed to move on, and even though it was difficult, she was determined to find a way to do so. She leaned on her few close friends and family, who, unaware of the details, offered unconditional support. Lara's journey during this last year of college was a mix of self-discovery and resilience. She learned to deal with pain and rejection, to find strength within herself, and to value her qualities regardless of how others saw her. Each day was a small battle, but over time, Lara began to realize that she was stronger than she had imagined. And although she still had feelings for Arthur, she also started to understand that she deserved something more than someone who wasn't willing to fight for her. On the night of the graduation, the atmosphere was filled with emotion and anticipation. The lights in the hall shone brightly, reflecting the joy and pride of the families gathered there to celebrate their children's achievement. Lara arrived at the event in an elegant navy blue dress, accompanied by her parents, who exuded an aura of dignity and discretion. Arthur, on the other hand, was beside Bianca, both with gleaming smiles, but loaded with false confidence. The highlight of the evening was the parents' dinner, a traditional event where the graduates' families met to celebrate success and discuss the future. It was during this dinner that the big revelation came to light. One of the guests, a close friend of Lara's family, began to speak proudly about her father's success, describing him as a visionary entrepreneur and philanthropist, owner of a famous chain of luxury stores spread across the country. The room, which had previously been full of lively conversations and laughter, suddenly fell into stunned silence. Arthur, who had been conversing absent-mindedly, froze upon hearing these words. He looked at Lara, trying to process the information. His mind raced, recalling all the times Lara had avoided talking about her family, and how she always behaved humbly and modestly. The revelation that Lara was, in fact, the daughter of such an influential and wealthy man left him completely bewildered. The irony of the situation was overwhelming. He had left Lara, believing she was not a good choice in his parents' eyes, only to discover that she was wealthier than he could have ever imagined. Arthur's parents, seated next to him, were equally surprised. They exchanged incredulous looks, while Arthur's father, visibly uncomfortable, cleared his throat and tried to maintain composure. Arthur's mother, who had always valued appearance and social status, felt overwhelmed with a mix of shame and regret. The truth that was now unfolding was a harsh accusation against their own prejudices and hasty judgments. To add to the shock and discomfort, the dinner conversation quickly turned to Bianca. One of the guests, unaware of the delicacy of the situation, casually mentioned that they knew her family and that they were humble and hardworking, middle-class people. Bianca's mother was a teacher at a public school, and her father worked as a technician in a small company. Bianca's parents were, in fact, simple and good people who had always done their best to support their daughter. However, Bianca, ashamed of her origins, had always tried to create an image of someone from a wealthy family. Bianca, realizing that the truth was coming out, tried to maintain her composure, but the discomfort was palpable. She had always presented herself as someone of high class, exaggerating her experiences and possessions. Now, with the truth revealed, the tension in the room was almost tangible. Arthur and his parents felt betrayed, not only by Bianca but also by their own illusions and prejudices. They realized they had been deceived by appearances and that their insistence on seeking status and wealth had led them to make wrong decisions. While all this was unfolding, Lara observed the situation with a mix of sadness and relief. She had always known that the truth would come out, but she hadn't expected it to happen so publicly and suddenly. Arthur's look, a mixture of shock and regret, was hard to bear. However, Lara remained firm. She had learned to value herself and knew that her dignity and integrity were not for sale, not even for the love of someone who couldn't see beyond appearances. That night was a turning point for everyone involved. For Lara, it was a confirmation that she had made the right choice by not defining herself by others' standards. For Arthur and his family, it was a painful lesson about the dangers of judging people only by their appearances. And for Bianca, it was a moment of truth, where she had to confront her own dissatisfaction and shame about her origins. After the painful breakup with Arthur, Lara found a new source of comfort and support in Miguel, a classmate who had always stood out for his intelligence, kindness, and humility. Miguel was the son of the university's janitor, a position that, to many, might seem humble. However, Miguel never hid his origins. On the contrary, he was always proud of his family and the values they had instilled in him, such as honesty, hard work, and respect for others. During the final year of university, Lara and Miguel began to grow closer. The beginning of this friendship was discreet, marked by conversations in the hallways and casual meetings in the library. Miguel was an excellent listener and had a natural way of making Lara feel comfortable discussing her feelings and concerns. He admired her not only for her beauty and intelligence but also for her strength and resilience in the face of adversity. Gradually, this friendship transformed into something deeper. Miguel, with his optimistic outlook and open heart, helped Lara see the world from a new perspective. He was always honest about his financial situation and never tried to be someone he wasn't. This contrast with Arthur's attitude was a breath of fresh air for Lara, who found in Miguel an authenticity lacking in her previous relationship. They shared similar values and goals, which created a solid foundation for the budding relationship. On the night of the graduation, while everyone celebrated the end of an important chapter, Lara and Miguel shared a special moment. After months of growing closeness and friendship, Miguel decided to open his heart. He took Lara to a quieter corner of the hall, away from the hustle and lights. With touching sincerity, he confessed his feelings, explaining how she had become an important part of his life. Lara, moved, also expressed her feelings. At that moment, all uncertainties and doubts dissipated, giving way to a feeling of joy and hope for the future. Lara's parents, who had always supported their daughter's decisions, had the opportunity to get to know Miguel better during the graduation dinner. They were immediately charmed by his humility, education, and integrity. To them, it was evident that Miguel was interested in Lara not because of her financial status or social standing, but for the person she was. They appreciated the respect he had for others and the fact that he never hid his origins or was ashamed of his family. This new relationship brought renewed light into Lara's life. Unlike her previous relationship with Arthur, where there was a constant shadow of uncertainty and judgment, with Miguel, she felt secure and valued. He supported her unconditionally and always made an effort to make her feel special. Together, they shared dreams and plans for the future, based on a deep mutual respect and the belief that the true worth of people lies in their inner qualities and character, not in their material wealth. Meanwhile, Arthur and his family faced a harsh reality. After the revelation about Bianca's true origins and Lara's wealth, they were forced to confront their own prejudices and the superficiality that had guided their decisions. Arthur, in particular, felt a mixture of regret and shame. He now realized how superficial and unfair he had been in leaving Lara for someone he believed to be a better choice, based solely on appearances. This experience served as a valuable lesson for Arthur and his family. They learned that a person's true worth is not in their wealth or status, but in their character, integrity, and heart. Lara and Miguel's relationship, based on respect and sincerity, became a shining example of what truly matters in life. Lara and Miguel continued their journey together, facing challenges with mutual support and celebrating their successes. The love and respect they had for each other were clear to everyone around them, making them a source of inspiration for many. For Lara, this new chapter in her life affirmed that she had made the right decision by focusing on what truly mattered. Together, she and Miguel demonstrated that genuine value is found in a person's inner qualities and character, rather than in their material possessions.